The Bears lose a heartbreaker, but we can hold our heads up high. What a season. You got to remember last season how bad it was compared to this season. It always sucks to lose in the playoffs and the season ending, but we exceeded expectations for what I thought was going to happen. So I can hold my head up high and be proud of what happened. It's brought pride back into the Bears fans. I'm not embarrassed to say I'm a Bears fan now because last season it was embarrassing. So hats off to the Bears players and the coaches because we had a great season. I mean, going to the game, the defense waited until the divisional round to have their best game. I have no idea where that came from. Stafford really didn't look comfortable in the game at all. McVay said it pretty well to Dennis Allen after the game and said, "Your guys kicked our asses today," and he was right. And Brisker's one of my favorite players. I know he's been on and off during the season. However, he was a man possessed in that game. He really was playing for his contract, I think. But yeah, he was terrific. The whole defense was, in fairness. Caleb threw some interceptions. The play calling for Ben Johnson and even McVay seemed a little placid, a bit timid. The weather probably made a massive difference in that. Stafford probably maybe still injured from the week before. Caleb was struggling with his hand also in the game because he hit his hand on the guy's helmet. So I don't know if that had anything to do with it. However, he did it again and he throws a touchdown in the last moments of the game to tie the game. It was insane. And I love what Rome said after the Green Bay game when he made that ridiculous throw. And Rome was asked, was that the best throw that Caleb's ever made? And Rome basically said, well, we say yes, but then next week he'll do another stupid throw like that. And he was right, and he did it again. And it was just absolutely insane. So yeah, what a scene that was. That touchdown to Komet is something I think I remember forever because the stadium was rocking, Bears fans were rocking, other fans were commenting on it, other players from other teams were saying stuff about our quarterback that I've never seen happen before about a Bears quarterback. It was just insane. And I'm not going to lie, I thought we were going to win it after that. And even the Super Bowl came in my head because I felt like it's just meant to be because we just keep doing this. But unfortunately, it went to overtime, interception, which meant that Rams could just go down the field and get a field goal to win the game. And there's a lot of blame going to DJ's way. I mean, I can't accept that it was to do with lack of effort. I mean, it's a divisional round game. It's in overtime. I can't imagine for 1 minute that Moore just was just not bothering. It just wouldn't make sense to me. I feel like there's probably something else underlying there, and maybe Caleb is just right and said it was a miscommunication. But it's there to see, I guess, and it doesn't look great, but there we go. But I'm joined today again by Zack Pearson. Thank you so much for coming back on. I know you've had a busy week. I mean, your thoughts on the game? Are you heartbroken still, or are you looking with pride about the season overall?
Yeah, I mean it's always tough when you lose and you fall short of your goals. But I think Ben Johnson said it best. There's only one team at the end of the year that's still standing that's going to win the Super Bowl, and the Bears accomplished a lot. They achieved a lot of their goals. They certainly had a successful season in terms of winning the NFC North for the first time since 2018, winning a playoff game for the first time since the 2010 season. Um, so there's a lot to be excited about. There's a lot to be excited about moving forward in terms of, this franchise with Ben Johnson and Caleb Williams. But, you also have to feel like that game was right there for them. It felt like all second half and probably most of the second quarter too. That game was right there. It felt like the Rams were almost just welcoming them to take it. And hats off to the defense, giving up only 20. That was fantastic. But I think the offense had to have a better showing in that game.
Yeah, sticking to their defense, do you think that was their best game of the season?
Yeah, it's up there considering the stakes, considering the opponent. Um, yeah, it's up there. I mean, the half they had against Green Bay, in that comeback, falling down 21-3, that was a pretty good half. But yeah, overall, I mean, limiting Puka Nakua, the elements obviously had a lot to do with things in terms of Matthew Stafford and the receivers, but yeah, it was definitely up there in terms of one of their best games defensively.
Like, 'cause to be fair, and I've criticised them throughout the year because obviously we couldn't stop many teams. They're
Yeah.
basically rolling the ball over. I mean, so Brisker, Bayard, obviously they're out of contract. Well, they're coming out of contract now. Can you see them being re-signed? Because, or do you think it's going to be a massive reset in terms of the defense?
Yeah, well, so they got four safeties that are not under contract. So it's not even just a start, it's a couple of depth pieces
Hmm.
too, which is interesting. Um, I think if I had to pick between the two, I would say most confident in Kevin Byard. I think he wants to be here for sure. He'll at this stage of his career maybe want to take a little bit of a hometown discount. Not he's not from Chicago, but staying here. Brisker's interesting. It kind of sounded like he wanted to be here, but he also kind of understood the business of what's going on, and he knows, it's not that easy just to say, yeah, I want to be here. The numbers got to be right. I think you're never guaranteed that next contract in the NFL, so I think he might try to take advantage and see what the number is out there for him. Um, I'd re-sign them both. I think you have a lot of value in getting both back and having continuity in that secondary. And we saw what Brisker can do when he was on his game, and he was healthy this year. So I would try to bring them both back. But yeah, if I had a bet right now, I think it'd just be Bayard of the two.
Bayard is like I mean, he's not hit the fact that he wants to come back, does he? So, like you said about the discount, I wouldn't be
Yeah.
surprised if he would, because he's basically begging to come back, isn't he? Let's stick to the positives. I mean, that touchdown to commit at the end. I mean, how special was that?
Yeah, I mean that was like another one of those wow, like where were you type of moments. Just to be able to face the pressure, run back 15, 20 yards, and then throw it in the air. I think it was something like 51.2 yards in the air from there for just a 14-yard touchdown. It's still pretty impressive, but um, yeah, I mean, you kind of just felt like, oh, wow, okay, like this is a magical season. The Magic's on their side. Now you have to go out and win this game. But yeah, it was a very special play, one that I'll never forget where I was and watching that. And I think kind of the whole press box was kind of like, whoa, okay, like he just did something again, which was wild.
So, I mean, obviously, it came to the interception. What are your thoughts? Because DJ is getting a lot of flack, isn't he? I mean,
Yeah,
what are your thoughts on the play?
yeah. Honestly, I just think it was like Caleb Williams said, it was miscommunication.
Hmm.
And Caleb kind of took the blame for it when we talked to him on Monday, I believe it was. Um, yeah, I mean, my thing is it was 2nd and 8. You could blame the play call. That's fine. You can probably blame Caleb for trying to take the shot there. You can probably blame DJ a little bit for not straightening out the route. But it did look like if everyone was on the same page, it would have been the perfect play call to get them right there inside the 20, set them up for the game-winning kick. I mean, they had it. There was one safety, two Bears right there, and all they had to do was just make sure everything was good, and it would have been perfect play. Now, I don't know. I don't like to question someone's, quitting or giving up on a play because they're professional athletes and they deserve, every benefit of the doubt most of the time because, you know, they bust their asses. So I just think it was just a tough play overall. I just think it's one of those things where, you know, maybe they talked about it before, maybe they talked about it after, but one of those things where they just have to get on the same page. You have to kind of see that continuity next year as well.
So when you spoke to Caleb on Monday, like what kind of feeling did you get from him? Was he gutted still, or was he looking at the season as a success?
Yeah, I mean, he's really, it's kind of hard to get a read on him sometimes. Like, we've seen him disappointed in some games. I forgot what game. I think it was a game last year. I want to say maybe this year. It had to be last year, I'm guessing, where he cost them a game or had an interception, something, and he kind of just had his head in his locker the entire time after the game. That was probably the only time I ever saw him like that. Um, I think, yeah, he was pretty like, he knew he was disappointed. He knew there was an opportunity for them to be playing this weekend. But at the same time, yeah, he's optimistic and he's very excited about Ben Johnson in the future and what this team can accomplish. So, yeah, a little hard to get a read on him totally, but, I think it wasn't even 24 hours after the game. So it was a
Mhm.
little tough to kind of process that.
I mean, like, the city is his though, isn't it? I mean, it was 24 hours after the game, and he was at the Blackhawks game, and everyone
Yeah,
like jumped like I don't think I've ever seen that before, where a team goes out of the playoffs and he's getting a standing ovation even though we lost. It was like it was
yeah.
classy and that. So you're at Hall this week, and I think the Bears fans have been pretty good, and we've acknowledged that this has been a good season considering where we've come from. What was your impression from Poles and kind of Johnson? Do you think they're kind of thinking, actually, this was something that we've given away, we had an opportunity of going further? Or do you think, actually, no, that's a good season?
I mean, I think like yeah, they kind of realized like yeah, we had a chance, but I've been in a lot of end of season press conferences where it's been totally different mood, totally different mindset, a lot of disappointment. You could just tell like just things like that. 2018 when they lost to the Eagles, it was just a whole different mindset. When they lost to the Saints, mindset. Then a couple of years, even last year too. So no, I think they see, okay, look, we achieved a lot. We achieved a lot of our goals. We didn't win the Super Bowl, but we are right where we need to be. We're on track. But at the same time, they're maintaining that, where you're not guaranteed to get back here next year. So that was kind of the one thing I thought was interesting was Ben Johnson saying, we're back to square one in the offseason. This is it, 2026. They know the expectation. They know like how hard training camp's going to be. We're back to square one. We got to bust our butts in training camp. And I think that was kind of felt not only from Ryan Poles and Ben Johnson, but pretty much most of the locker room too. But I would say there's a lot of optimism moving forward.
Yeah, he doesn't mince his words, does he, Ben Johnson? Because when
Yeah.
he said we're going to square one again, I do feel like we've got something to build on. But obviously some of our coaches. I know there's quite a lot of teams sniffing around our coaches now.
Yep.
We're probably our defense is going to look completely different. So I get that it's going to be a completely different team in that sense. But surely we can use all that momentum. Like the fans are back on board, aren't they, with the Bears? And there's something to build on there, isn't there?
Yeah, definitely. I mean, just being like I said, I've been through a lot of losing seasons here, and I've seen, season being over by end of November, and you're just looking forward to the holidays and the off season. This was this run that they had this year, and this season just showed how cool the city is when they're good. The bars are completely packed on a Sunday or Saturday night. Everyone in the city's wearing Bears gear. Everyone's saying "Go Bears," and you can just kind of feel like they're starting to build something special. And I think they took the cheering and the support, and they knew how much it meant to them. Like the 2018 team, I felt like they kind of felt they knew that too, but this is kind of just a different level because of how they did this and how they achieved this. So they got to remember that in their minds. I think they will. I think they got a good group of guys and just carry that into the offseason.
So let's ignore that last touchdown to commit. I mean, Caleb Williams is like his highlight reel is absolutely ridiculous. But
Yeah.
what was your play of the season overall, like the whole season? Would you say,
Oh
yeah,
man.
because I know we could talk about 20 different plays, I think, but
Yeah. I mean, there's a lot, obviously. Like I think the most significant one is probably the DJ Moore touchdown in overtime against the Packers. I think that's probably the one that is number one. But the touchdown to Colson Loveland against the Cincinnati Bengals, that's another big one. Couple of the interceptions, you could probably put from Kevin Byard, the game winner to, or not game, but game sealer to Cole Kmet against the Eagles was a pretty good one. Yeah, I mean, there's a lot. I would probably say the DJ one just because of who was against the situation, helped them win the division. Um, that was probably my favorite throw and probably the best. I'd try to say the best play.
yeah, I saw you tweet out. I think Tom Brady said that was number one as well, didn't? And
Yeah,
I
which is
think
interesting.
I think that was like probably the first time of that Green Bay fans actually started to respect him a little bit as well for 5 minutes anyway.
Yeah,
That was it felt like Caleb was put his name in the hat there. But I mean, this is kind of a ridiculous question. So like talking about for like next season, and because I feel like actually there's probably more pressure now
yeah,
for us to perform, and it's a harder schedule, as we all know. I mean, Green Bay are sitting at home now, like just whispering to themselves, I hate Ben Johnson, I hate Ben Johnson, and
Yeah.
they want revenge. So those games are going to be colossal. I mean, how do you think next season's gonna? I know there's a lot to do in off season, but can you see us still kind of progressing next season?
Yeah, yeah,
Mhm.
I see a lot of this where people think, oh, it's a fluke one year, they're going to regress, and that's been the case for them. They haven't made the playoffs in back-to-back years since 2005, 2006, so it's been a long, long time. And they can think that that's their opinion. They have a lot of years to back that up, but I think it's different. I think they got the right guy head coach. I think they got the right guy at quarterback. I think they have a roster full of really good players and talent. Now they have holes. I think the defense is going to have to be addressed big time. I think left tackle is going to be an interesting position again now this year because of Ozzie Trapillo's injury. I don't think they'll move on from DJ Moore. I think they're going to keep him. I don't know why you would unless he just wants out. But expectations are now raised. They're high. In the NFL, you're not guaranteed to get back to the playoffs. They could get back. They might lose in the first round. It's a week to week sport. Even in the offseason, it's a week to week sport. So expectations are high. You have a bullseye in your back. But that's what you want. I think Ben Johnson, Caleb Williams, that's what they want. That's what you want as a fan. You want this Bears team to get the best from everyone because you should believe that they could beat anyone in this league. And I think they showed that this year where they could beat everyone, but they also could lose to a lot of teams. So I'm among the mindset of you want that. You want that target on your back. You want everyone's best shot because it's only going to make you better. And I think that helps you grind a little more in this offseason. And it kind of having that taste of, look, we were a couple plays away from playing for an NFC title this weekend. And, I think Seattle is probably the best team in the NFC. I think the Rams are probably number two. I think the Bears are right there, number three, number four. You could argue, either one of those. But you never know. The Bears could have had 60 minutes to show us that they should have been in the Super Bowl, and then anything can happen. So I think it's good for them to have the expectations coming
Mhm.
up.
Yeah. I mean, it's interesting what you said there. You can't see DJ leaving because obviously I've seen a lot of people proposing a type like one of these fake trades where
Yeah.
he's like part of a trade to get a like sort of Crosby coming in. Could you not see that happening?
I mean, look, if you trade them the Raiders, I think the mindset is they're going to draft a quarterback. You get a legit wide receiver for your quarterback early on, which is fair. And then you give up Max Crosby, but you're also really weakening your defense if you're the Raiders. So you kind of have to pick and choose. But on the Bears side, I, I don't. I think they could get someone like Max Crosby. I think they could go out and get someone like Trey Hendrickson without having to give up DJ Moore. I look at it and I see the season Roma Dunes they had, obviously bothered by injuries. He himself, he called it disappointing. I don't see why you would weaken your wide receiver room um, by trading DJ Moore. I don't know. Maybe the vibe I got from Ryan Poles when he spoke about DJ Moore was that they don't want to trade him. I know DJ didn't speak to the media after the game, didn't speak to the media at Hallis Hall, which I thought could have put a lot of this to rest. Now we're going to continue to talk about it all off season.
Mhm.
But I think you have a player that that is capable of being a number, maybe a low end wide receiver one in this league. And he experienced his first season of winning since
Mhm.
middle school. So I think he's going to be hungry to come back and play better and go make a run at this. If he asked for a trade, it would shock me, but I think that's the only way they would trade him. I don't think they're shopping him unless the relationship just totally broke at some point.
Yeah, and you probably think that you kind of need a bit of because that offense is young, isn't it? Like the whole
Yeah,
wide
yeah,
receiver core, even Caleb, I mean, he's only year three. And
yeah.
so you probably need someone with a bit of experience as well,
Well,
don't you?
and the other thing is like, I saw something the other day. It's, you could trade DJ Moore. You go in with Luther Burden, Colson Loveland, and Roma Dunze as your top three, which is a really good top three. I'd agree. I think that's a good top three. But then they said, you just sign someone off the street. Well, the Bears signed Olamed Zaccheaus, and every time he dropped a football, everyone complained, and it was like the end of the world to them. So, which yeah, you can't drop footballs, but I don't think Zaccheaus was awful by any means. I think he was a solid free agent pickup, but you're going to be relying on a free agent wide receiver again if you drop DJ Moore. and go with those three. So I don't know. I think the DJ stuff's kind of overblown. Plus, the contract is really hard to figure out and navigate. So yeah, I just maybe I'm wrong. I just don't see it. I don't really even see it as like a big talking point just yet.
Cool. So last question then before I let you go. Who have you got winning the Super Bowl this year?
Man, it's tough because if Bo Nix was healthy, I'd probably say the Broncos are going to win Sunday, but I think it's going to be Patriots. I don't. I think it's going to be the Patriots from the AFC, but I do think the NFC will win the Super Bowl. So I'll say that. I think it's going to be Seattle, the Rams, but I think whoever is between those two teams, I think will win the Super Bowl. I'll go right now and I'll say the Rams. I think the Rams win the
Okay.
Super Bowl. Yeah.
Nice one.
Yeah.
Yeah. Thanks so much for coming on. Hope you enjoy your off season yourself. And I hope obviously the weather calms down a bit as well.
Yeah, we'll see. I appreciate it, man. Thank you so much for having me back on. We'll have to talk in the off season and do it
Yeah,
again if you're
100%.
up for it. Awesome. Thanks, man.
Definitely 100%. Go Bears.
Go Bears.